up on the islanders. We're at day 2 of the conference. They're talking about roads, they're talking about business, they're talking about education, and they're also talking about the 2020 census and what that's going to mean for the state. So joining me now to talk about this is Donna Murray Brown. She's the CEO of the Michigan Nonprofit Association. It's good to see you, Donna.
Thank you.
And also Hassan Jaber. He's the Executive Director of Access. Welcome.
Good morning.
And Nancy Moody. She's the Vice President of Public Affairs for DTE. It's good to see you. All right. Really great to have all of you here to talk about the 2020 census. We're going to get there, but I always love to get people's perspective of the conference so far and what the main things are that people have been coming up to them and talking to them about. So I'm going to start with you, Donna. What's on people's minds when you're having these small side conversations?
Yeah, the small side conversation I've had was really about Stacey Abrams yesterday. It was amazing.
She was dynamic.
She was absolutely dynamic. Her perspectives about civility, and I think it's just really been a lot of conversations about how can we really have civil discourse and have conversations about difficult issues, even if we don't agree.
Right.
So it's been awesome.
Good. Hassan, what about you? What are people talking about?
I think it's more of rich diversity of people attending the conference this year. I mean, many from the nonprofit sector, many community organizations. That this gives it more of richer discussions, and I'm really interested the fact that we now focusing on the census, we focusing on education, we focusing on talent. These are critical issues for us, and I'm glad to see that the discussion is much wider than any time before.
Yeah, and I think the diversity of the voices coming to the table about this, about all of those issues, is very important. I have noticed, and it's a very big crowd here at the conference this year. Nancy, what about you?
Well, I think playing off of Hassan's words, we're very focused on workforce development and the education that's needed around that. The fact that we have so many people in Michigan who are not working right now, and the tremendous need for training because the jobs are there. And therefore, the census is so much an important piece of this, because one of the things we know we need to do is bring the federal dollars into Michigan so that we can continue things like workforce training.
Yeah, and really be able to get people to understand that those programs are available, what it's going to take to be part of a workforce training program, what the process is going to be, and also, I think we talk about a lot of the wraparound services that people need once they're in those training programs. How am I going to be able to, run my household while I'm at training? What will my eventual path be?
Yeah.
Those are all really important things. So let's go ahead and take a look at the census, and kind of on the overall view, give me a sense of why is this so important for Michigan this time around in 2020?
So there's really a lot at stake, and you said it just a moment ago in terms of all the wraparound services that people depend on. The census actually is the one moment in time that we can count people to make certain that we have enough federal funding here in the state of Michigan to be able to provide those things. That's why it's so important for nonprofit organizations who depend on financing to be able to help them continue to do the work that they're doing. So it's a lot at stake in terms of not just dollars, but also making certain that we have good representation from the state of Michigan and in the federal government as well. And so we're really interested in making sure that we are able to leverage the trust that nonprofits have in community to make certain that people recognize the importance of being counted, mattering, and being able to make a difference in the communities where they live.
You just said something really interesting. You said leverage the trust. And I think that sometimes that's where we're seeing a breakdown of people in the community that don't quite trust the process and the counting process and what that will mean for communities. Hassan, what are some of the challenges that you're hearing from people about concern about being counted or not being counted?
And the trust is a key issue here, and knowing the process, knowing why this has been done and how it benefits communities and people, especially in an age where privacy is now a major concern for everyone. There are also the fact that this citizenship question was added last minute in an political environment where immigrants are feeling being targeted, and they're very significant a group to be included in the census. So privacy, moving to internet census this year or in 2020. The fact that there are these citizenship question and what it means to immigrant communities,
And there's real concern there.
and there are real concerns about this. We could lose a significant populations in account if we don't address this issue. So we do have challenges. The task for us is to be transparent, honest, trusting in terms of how we communicate these challenges and how we as a community can come together and do the job of complete count. This is critical for us. 40% of state budget is federal money based on the census numbers.
And Nancy, it's really starting to get these programs and get the word out and say, how can we partner with nonprofits? How can we partner with other organizations and say, all right, we can never get the word out too much, and it's a constant process. So what are some of the plans on how we can start to get the word out and what you're doing at DTE?
Well, I'm glad you asked the question. There are many things that businesses can do. One of the things is provide resources. So you can provide both time, talent, and treasure. That's what I like to call it. It's financial resources so that you can actually pay for the services that you need to get the campaigns, because this is a door-to-door campaign with the folks who are trusted, to come to the door. And getting the word out through every kind of media channel you can come up with. And today, with digital media, there are so many ways for us to speak to the folks in the state of Michigan.
Which is kind of a good thing and kind of a bad thing too, because you think, maybe 20 years ago you could put on mainstream television, but now our eyeballs are in so many different places.
Yes.
I mean, you can get the information in so many different places that, well, that's a wonderful thing. That can also be a little bit of a challenge too.
We need to do it all
Yeah.
for this, because it is so important for the next 10 years in Michigan. This is so important. And the third thing I would say businesses can do is use our own employees, our own retirees, we call them our alumni, and our own contract assistants. Use every resource you have everywhere in order to help get the word out. Word of mouth. Basically becoming a volunteer in your own neighborhood. I mean, there are many ways, and at least at DTE, we absolutely intend to use them all. We partner with our nonprofits. We partner with our faith partners. We have partners across the state of Michigan, and we'll be using every channel.
I would love to see, what are some of those meetings like when you sit down and say, all right, who are we going to get in on this? Who are the groups that we're going to, call on first and to be those good trusted partners? And that really, that takes years of building relationships in a community, and that the fact that you have them now and say, gosh, we're at such a critical juncture. Now I can call on all these groups that we've worked with before. How important is that to have that relationship with business, with nonprofits, saying, all right, we all need to help each other out in this.
I think it's extremely important. And at Michigan Nonprofit Association, while we knew the census was coming in 2020, we started 2 years ago. We started looking at our relationships, being able to be strategic around how we actually bring people together. And I got to tell you, people are extremely excited about the opportunity for Michigan to be counted and to be able to have all the resources that it deserves that makes its community stronger. So it was an easy sell to get people in the room together to talk about it. And now what we're doing is really being able to build a strong strategy, leaning into the modernization that the U.S. Census Bureau put into force in terms of having it at internet first, and being able to not be so focused on the distractions or the barriers, but all the opportunities that we have. It's easy to be able to participate in the census. It's safe. Your information can be protected. It's protected. 70 years is when it's released. So we know that we have the privacy protection there. And then it's important. We talked about all that is at stake right now. And so I think it was easy to bring people together. And I think we actually have a really great opportunity in Michigan to get it right.
What do you think some of the challenges are, though, when you're trying to articulate to people that it is okay to give us the information, that is not going to be abused, that you are going to be counted? What are some of the barriers there?
I think some of the barriers, in my opinion, is really around education. people don't recognize the importance of it. So when you weigh the importance and recognize that there are protections for your information, you think, wow, I have the opportunity just by me being counted that I can make a difference in my community. And I think every time we have that conversation, people choose to make a difference. And that's what we're counting on.
Hassan, what are some of the programs with Access that you're working on right now in having to do with the census and being counted?
So we really have a range of programs. We can definitely have the staff assist our clients. We see 70,000 people on a yearly basis, making sure we ask, did you fill out the census? Do you need help filling out the census? And maybe answer questions regarding concerns or what is this for?
They've got a safe place to be able to ask those questions.
And we need to work with local ethnic media to make sure that we are spreading the word on the census. And also, again, build that trust. That's going to be critical for us, especially in immigrant communities. We need to be honest, but we also need to build that trust between the communities and the census and the process. This is really should be not a government census. It should be community-led census.
Let me ask you this, Hassan. Are you working with any other groups that deal with immigrant communities, different immigrant communities, and saying this is what's working for Access, this is what might work for you, or what are some of the challenges that you're having? Are you able to exchange information?
And this is what's different this time.
Yeah.
That this is really being led by community groups, by corporate support, by ethnic organization, by mosques and churches, by neighborhoods. This is really becoming a civic movement for us. And again, it's about building a trust. And it's about knowing what's at stake for us.
Nancy, I'm going to let you get the last word on this. Give us a sense of where things go now for the next 6 months to a year and kind of what we can all do to advance the word.
Well, it's a matter of everything everyone has been talking about now coming together in an organized, effective, efficient manner. So what we know is that we can't all be out there working in silos. And what Hassan just said, we are not working in silos. We're working together. So if you're interested in helping, I would say find your partner, and your partner will be connected to the next and the next. We're all linked together on this.
That's good to see. All right. Well, we can't wait to continue to follow the progress. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For all of the
Thank
information.
you.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.